Hey, how's everyone doing today? So just wanted to, get some things off my chest and talk about certain things that have happened in the past with me. And since the subject is going around mental health and everyone's quite divided about mental health and this and that. You got a few sides. You got a few sides that are like, it's nice to be nice. Is this and this and this and this. And you got the side that's like, don't be talking crap about mental health because you don't understand what it's like. And there's some people that are just like, man up. There's so many different divisions to it. There's so many different, reactions for people. And I'm not really... the only thing I want to do from this video is just kind of, as much as it is so much easier when someone approaches you and when someone is there to talk to you and things like that, I'm just, where I'm coming from, I'm just trying to show and say that person needs to be you as well. That person needs to be, you're the person that needs to get up. No one's going to go and do things for you. I understand that it is easier, but there's so many occasions. I've had it now. I have conversations now where I've said, I said to someone, how are you doing? How's everything going with you? Are you okay? And they're just like, yeah, I'm fine. And then maybe the fourth time of asking is when they actually tell me. A lot of people would just, ask a couple of times and, you say you're okay. They'll leave it at that. And, what I'm saying is that happened to me a couple of years back. And I got through it. It was difficult. It was very difficult, especially as I had a lot of friends. I had everything around me. I had so many people that I can actually talk to. I'm only realising that now in the last year. I had so many people I can talk to, so many people in my life that were actually here to help me. And I just didn't. I just always, none of them would, this is news to a lot of people. This is news to so many people that none of them would even know that I was going through or went through anything. I got, it was about, to be fair, I think it was around my 25th birthday. And, certain things had gone on. I had a lot of, by then I just had some success in my life. I got signed by David Hay around then, and I had a few big fights, did well in them, got the notoriety from them, got money, got a lot of clout from it, and a lot of people started appearing in your life as natural, it happens. So got a lot of those things were happening in my life, and I was just, at the moment I was kind of living the dream, really. I was, getting paid well, getting a big following, getting a lot of things happening to me, and the other side of it was, you attract the wrong people. You start to see certain things about certain people, certain things come out, certain people you thought would never do or be a certain way were. So, there's so many. So I realised so many things, and that really, it hit me hard. It really, really hit me hard around when I was like 25. It really, really hit me hard, and I just had no idea how to handle it. And I just kind of went on with my life. I kind of ignored it. I just kind of, the people that did ask me if I was okay, I was always like, yeah, I'm fine. I ain't got no problem with it. I just kind of put it to the back of my head and ignored it and suppressed it. And then it got to a point where it was like, you know, you can't really run from this. You kind of need a little bit of help with this. You can't run from it. And the help I needed was, I wasn't happy in the environment I was in. So I wasn't happy with certain people in my life. I wasn't happy with a certain situation in my life. I wasn't happy with certain things in my life. So I changed. I changed those things, and it made things so much better. Like I wasn't happy with so many different aspects of my life, even though everything on paper and on the forefront was going so well for me. I wasn't happy with certain things. I wasn't happy with some of the company I was keeping. I wasn't happy with certain people in my life. I wasn't happy with certain people I was entertaining, whether it be women, friends, things like that. I wasn't happy with those things, and I thought to myself, okay, what are the things that are making me unhappy? What is the reason that I am feeling like this? So I looked at it, evaluated it, and the next day I didn't just wake up and I was fine. It took me a long time to kind of understand how I felt and what I could do about it, and all these different things. It took me a long time to understand and accept, appreciate, and just, you know, like, it took me a long time to kind of understand who I am, and what I want from my life, who I want in my life, and things like that. It took me a long time to understand these things, because a lot of these people were friends that had been in my life for years, ever since I was a child, more or less. And obviously you got to make some big decisions, but at the same time, I had to make some big decisions in relationships that I was in with friends. I had to make a lot of big decisions, and I was changing a lot of aspects in my life. But if I didn't do that, I wouldn't have cut those things in my life that were bad. So at one point in my life, I got to a point where I remember I'd gone out with my friend, and I was coming home from a night out. We used to be very reckless. We used to race each other a lot. We used to drive around. We used to do crazy things. And one of those times I left him, he's left me. We're both in different cars. We separated, and I was driving, and I was wildly over the limit. I was ridiculously over the limit, and I was, when I say that, I mean not alcohol, I mean the speed limit. And so I'm driving home, and I was on my phone, living recklessly, and the car kind of hit the verge. I started to spin out of control, and the only thing I remember from that moment, I never crashed the car. I just kind of hit it off the side of the curb. It didn't do as much damage as I would have thought, especially going at that speed. But at that time, all I can remember was thinking, I'm not even worried about, like, losing my life here. I don't really care. Like, oh well, like, it's probably better off. You know what I mean? Like, I just disregarded my life, and it was just, I didn't think about, you know, certain people in my life that would affect. I didn't think about anything. I just kind of was like, yeah, whatever. And from then I kind of said that needs to change. That needs to change. And it's been, you know, like, I started to make a change then. I'm so grateful now for my, like, best friend and a lot of my friends around that I have now, because those are the people that were always, I never saw it at the time, but they were always there when I didn't need them, as well as when I need. They were always just there. They were always there, no matter what would happen, no matter what was going, they were always there. And my parents, my family, I appreciate them so much, because I love them, and, you know what I mean, they've been fantastic in every aspect of my life. When I had my wobble, and when I was going through certain things, I began to understand about myself. I began to, you know, understand that maybe some things need to be figured out with a little bit of help. So I spoke to some people, but I never actually told them the full extent of what was going on. I kind of just asked them a question without asking them a question, asked them about something without asking them about something, they probably know what I was talking about. And they gave me, the things they said were fantastic, and those things would kind of change my outlook on certain things and certain situations, and just in general, like I just knew who had my back and who didn't, and I made the choices to kind of get rid of these people, and cut these ties with certain people off, and it's not something I needed, and obviously I got myself out of I got myself out of a hole, and it hasn't been easy, the whole mental health thing. So many people are going through certain things that a lot of people don't know about. And don't get me wrong, it is nice to be nice. There's no reason for you to be nasty to anyone. You don't know what's going on in their life. It is nice to be nice, but at the same time, you have to understand when you're going through something, you need to understand your emotions. You need to understand and know yourself. Before, when you're trying to deal with these things, you need to understand all these things and what you're feeling and what's going on. You need to understand so many of these things, because it's not. Sometimes what I'm saying is, some people will go through some things and will never ever say anything until it gets to the point where it's just too much and it completely corrupts them and it's never the same again. Some people will always be in a state, and no matter how much you try and help them, they either don't let you in, or they kind of expect a lot from you. In a sense of, when I say that, I mean in a sense of they won't do anything to help themselves. And I understand how this is. It's very, very difficult to just go and do it. It's very difficult. But this is where I need to affirm the point of you do need to understand that you need to help yourself. You need to make this choice yourself if you're gonna get better. And it's a very difficult thing to do. Some people won't make that choice. Some people don't want to make that choice. Some people, it will just never happen. And I always say, like, talking about it is always the first point of call. Ever since I spoke about it the first time, ever since I actually spoke about how I felt, and I had doubts. When I felt like this, I had doubts in every aspect of my life. I had doubts in my relationships, my friendships, my career, everything I did, every single thing I did, I had doubts in. I had so many incidents where I just didn't even know. I just had so many doubts. And speaking about it was just incredible. It was like I just felt amazing after. I can't actually explain to you what I mean by it. I just felt so much better, and I again started to understand my feelings. I started to understand what was in the way, what was upsetting me, what was putting me in this mindset. And when I got myself and got rid of certain things in my life and got rid of those things that kept me in a place, I was better. I felt so much better after a while of just keeping it going, keeping a positive mindset. And it's very difficult to keep positive, because it's easier to just say you can't do it than to actually try and do it. It's easier, of course it is. And it was so difficult. It was such a difficult time, and it was just a really, really difficult time. And when, like, you know, like, I understand what my feelings are. I understand what I feel when I feel it, why I feel it. I understand all these things now. I understand all these things now. Before, I didn't. I had no idea what I was feeling. I had no idea why I was feeling it. So the best thing I felt to do was to ignore it. I've had some things happen to me ever since when I was 25. I've had things happen to me here and there, you know, things that should wobble me. I've You know what I mean? I've done things myself. I've made mistakes. I've made a lot of mistakes. I haven't been the best person I could be at certain times. I haven't always put my best foot forward. I haven't always done these things, but I've been trying. And you know, when you have these little things, I understand that my career is my life. This is, you know, there's no boxing, there's no life. And I understand that, and I need to be clear in every possible way. So, and again, only maybe 1 or 2 people know this. I have a therapist, and they are not there because I'm going through anything right now. It's just in case I have a wobble, so they can just catch me. And it's so, again, it's just one of those things where it's just so, it's just the perfect thing. It's just something so necessary, you know, like a therapist is such a beneficial thing, because you really, there's certain things that you know, and they just help you get there. I always thought therapy was just, I never really believed in therapy, and I never thought it worked. But when I did it myself, I was amazed at, you know, some of the things that actually happened. I was really amazed at how beneficial it actually is. And I'd always advise, like, you know, like, if you're really struggling, and if obviously affordability and things like that, you should be doing these things. Like, you should be doing these things. You should be, you know, you should be keeping account of your mental health. And you know, like, what other things? What else was I saying? And, like, you know, obviously some things have happened. Yeah, you know, like, I had some big fights coming up. I had a area title fight coming up. Everything was perfect. Everything was going well. And I was like in a good place. I was just really, really happy going along with my life, and everything in my life was relatively perfect. And you know, that fell through. It was the first experience of something like that. In the way it happened, it was just my first experience of something like that. So it was, to say the least, it was quite difficult to take, even though on the forefront I was like, okay, it happened, we'll get on with it. But it was still very difficult, because I put in a lot of work, just like anyone else. Just like, you know, I'm sure so many people go through this. This is just how I was feeling and how I was dealing with it. And I understood that, you know, these things happen. I understand that it was, you know, an unfortunate thing to be putting work into something and it hasn't worked out. It was just still something that was so difficult to take, and I had no idea how to understand how I was feeling and where I was going, and, you know, what was going on. And it took a lot out of me. It took a lot out of me. And it was difficult. I understand it. I was like, all right, cool, let's restart and let's go again. But it wasn't that easy. It wasn't just a case of, oh, okay, that's it, you know, click your fingers, we started again, we're done. But no, it wasn't. It was a very difficult thing to take, and, you know, I shrugged it off to an extent. But again, that was another time that kind of really made me question my career, question certain places, with the future. I just started to really worry, and I didn't really understand how to deal with it. I understand what I was feeling, I just didn't understand how to deal with it. I never understood how to approach it. I just kept training, kind of kept to myself, and, you know, so it's not an overnight thing. You can't just get up one day and it's all cleared up, you know. Like, there's certain steps to all of this. There are certain phases that in my life that led to that point. And it's very difficult. It is very, very, extremely difficult to, you know, process and to deal with. But, you know, again, I got past that. I, you know, pushed on, and coming up to my last fight, I had some personal problems in relationships. I had some personal things going on in my life that, I was dealing with myself, and everything was all good. On the forefront, I was, training hard. I never took an eye off training. It was really hard. I had to kind of deal with some things coming up to the fight. I had a big wobble when I had a funeral. One of my friends from when I was a lot younger passed away, and I realised certain things about that, like obviously appreciating life. And he passed away on the pretense of mental health. He took his own life, and it really was a bit of a wake-up call. It opened my eyes to certain things, and it opened my eyes to more things than just the mental health aspect. It opened my eyes to who is certain people in my life and where they were in my life and where they needed to be kept in my life, and if they were meant to be in it or not. It opened my eyes to so many different things. And after that fight is when I got my therapist, and things have just been very different since I've been seeing someone about that. I've been seeing someone about just keeping my mental health in check. Things have been so different. Everything's been so better. I've been thinking about certain things better. I've been thinking about it in a certain way, understanding what I'm actually going through, what my emotions are, why it's happening. And this therapy wasn't something I ever gave credit to. I'd always thought it was something that was a bit like just a bit of a plaster, innit? Like, it doesn't actually do anything, it just covers up. But yeah, it's actually so much more than that, and it's something that I always urge people to do, obviously if they can. Going through certain things in that fight, like there were certain points that I was in the fight and I remember I got hit. And I remember it was like one defining shot. It was just one defining shot. And it was one of those things where, like, again, I think only one person knows this. It was just that moment where I got hit, and it was the strangest moment in my life. Everything went silent, and all I can see were all the people that have been in my life. So one of my teachers from school was there. One person that went to my secondary school was there. I saw my form tutor there. I saw, you name it. I saw everyone. I saw my girlfriend at the time. I saw my girlfriend at the time. I saw my management. I saw my parents. I saw so many different aspects of my life. I saw someone I went to college with. I saw so many different, my life right there. And I kind of thought to myself, like, geez, this is my whole life. Like, it was just a defining moment. Like, this is my whole life. This is crazy. And it started to things started kind of set in, and I pushed through the fight. I won the fight. It was very emotional. I'd gone through a lot to get to that position. I'd trained so hard, as well as dealt with certain things. It was very difficult. It was really a difficult time. Like, it was just a really difficult time. It was a really difficult time. So when I actually got a therapist and we started working on certain things, started speaking about certain things, everything became clearer on what I needed to do, where I needed to be in my life, and the kind of things I needed to keep in and out of my life. And I'm in a place now where I feel just so much better. Yeah, I still make hard decisions all the time, but now I'm always, like, I'm sure about them. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm going through. I know how I feel, and I know, like, I'm in control of my emotions. I'm in control of where I am, and I just know I'm secure. I know what's going on, Well, like as I say that, I didn't, you know, I've always been on the standpoint of you have to get up and do these things. No one is just going to do these things for you. You need to just do these things. And of course it's incredibly difficult. Of course. It's incredibly difficult to just get that, to be brave enough to actually make some choices. It is incredibly difficult. But when you do it, it will change your life. For me, I'm not saying this is a cheat code to how to beat mental health. It is just, it's not. I couldn't tell you to do X, Y, Z and do this and do this. This is what's worked for me. This has been, I was going through something at a time. I spoke about it. I got up and did it. Nobody asked me. Nobody asked me about it, because sometimes it's not there. You know, I've seen certain things about, oh, you know, why don't you, if you see someone struggling, you know, go help them. But what if you don't? What if you see someone just always on holiday, happy, posting this, smiles, this and that in the gym? Well, what if you see that and they're not okay, but they're showing you they're okay? So how are you ever going to see that? This is why I say you always need to come up yourself. You need to get up yourself first. Personally, that's just where I am. That's what I did, and it helped me and it changed everything. In my opinion, I think it changed and as well as saved my life. And it was just, it's something that I always find difficult to talk about, because I never thought I could be, that could have been me. I never thought that I'd be in that place in my life, but I was, and I got out of it. And, you know, I've gone on for about 30 minutes now. I'm just so grateful for the people in my life. I'm so grateful for every single person in my life. They've all taught me a lesson, and the ones that are in my life are meant to be here. I understand, and I know that. I understand what I'm feeling. I understand who I am. I appreciate my family so much. I appreciate my parents, and I appreciate every single aspect in my life. I appreciate everything in my life, and I just, you know, I've made mistakes in life. I've made a lot of mistakes in life. I've made a lot of bad decisions. I've made a lot of conscious bad decisions. I've hurt a lot of people. I'm not perfect. I'm trying. And that's it. I'm just happy to be here. I'm just happy here. If you watch this whole thing, I really appreciate that. And I just hope everyone's okay. I really hope everyone's alright and everyone just has a really good day.